let's get started. So we are on Yud Aleph Amud Bet. We have a pretty loaded Amud.
I think we finished this one, didn't
We are towards the bottom, yeah. We're supposed to be doing Daf Yud Bet today. We're on the bottom of Daf Yud Aleph Amud Bet, where it's the first wide line. It says Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba. So this is actually almost an exact repeat of the back and forth that we did in the second half of Daf Yud Aleph. So the first part should be fairly easy. We're going to go through it a little bit quick. It's going to be a little bit of Chazara. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Bar Chia bar Abba, Rabbi Yochanan bai. Rabbi Yochanan asked the following question: Amachazir grushato mishen nis'et, tzarata mahu. So if somebody was machzir grushato, meaning he divorced his wife and he took back his wife, and he had another wife, right? He had two wives. One of them he divorced and he took back after she had married somebody else in between, and the other one not. And then he died. So what's the deal with the tzara? What's the deal with the co-wife? Can she do yibum? Can she not? So Amar le Rabbi Ami. So Rabbi Ami said, why is this the question? V'tibai lach hi gufa. Why don't you ask about the lady herself? Why are you asking about the tzara, about the co-wife? What about the machzir grusha herself, the lady who he divorced and took back, and then he dies? Can she do yibum? So the Gemara says, no, that's not a question. Hi gufa lo kame bayali. I'm not asking about her. Damrinan kal v'chomer, because for her, there's a kal v'chomer that for sure she is not eligible for yibum. Why? Bemutar la asura. To the person who she's supposed to be muteret to, meaning her husband, her first husband, she's asura because she divorced and went and married somebody else in the time being. So she's asura to her first husband. Be'asurla, to the husband's brother who she's supposed to be asura to, lo kol shekin, or the more so she should be asura. Meaning, if she's not allowed to be with her own husband, for sure she can't be with the yavam, with the husband's brother after the husband dies. So we're not asking about her, we're asking about the tzara, the co-wife. So ki kamebai li tzarata. So the question is about the co-wife. That's one version of the question. Mai, what's the halacha with the co-wife of machazir grushato? Mi'alim kal v'chomer lemidchi tzara o lo? Do we say this kal v'chomer that says, well, she's not allowed to be with the husband, so for sure she's not allowed to be with the husband's brother? Is that strong enough to say that the yibum is off for the entire family and the co-wives also are not included in yibum or not? Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak matni hachi. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, he learns as follows: Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba by Rabbi Yochanan, hamachazir grushato misheniset mahu. So this version, the other version of the question, is he's actually asking about the machzir grusha herself, not about the tzara. He's asking, Ruvain divorced his wife and she went and married somebody else, and then Ruvain took her back after that marriage was terminated, and then Ruvain died. So what about the woman herself that he took back? Is she allowed to do yibu?
he made he divorced his wife. The wife goes with somebody else.
Yes.
Then he come and married. I mean,
he took her back.
Is a lot of issur in between?
Yeah, he did an isur. The question is, can this woman do yibum? So in the first question, we're asking, can her co-wife do yibum? The second question, we're asking, can she herself do yibum? So Amar le Rabbi Ami v'tibai lach tzarata. Rabbi Ami said, oh, why don't you ask about the tzara? It's a little bit different version of the conversation. So tzarata lo kamei ali. De lo alim kal v'chomer lemidchi tzara. Because there's the kal v'chomer is not strong enough to push away the tzara. Ela ki kamei lehi gufa mai. Does this kal v'chomer push off the mitzvah of yibum or not? Either way, we have two versions of the question. One version of the question is we're asking about the co-wife of a woman who he divorced and took back. Can she do yibum? The other version, we're asking the lady herself who he divorced and took back. Can she do yibum? So
I think she should do yibum because the wife that has a problem, it doesn't count as a yibum anymore. You cannot do yibum with that. And nobody could do yibum with that lady because she is not candidate for Ivum. She cannot be Ivum with anybody. She's 100% wrong.
Okay, but why does
But
that
the
make
one that is
okay?
clean.
Okay, we have to. It's not super simple. We have to go through the Gemara and then we'll see. I don't think we're gonna get to the halacha. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk about the halacha. Okay, so Amar Le. So we have a large amud. Again, hazman katzar v'melacha meruba. We have a large amud and not so much time. Okay, so Amar Le tinitua. So he said we already learned this. To the answer to this, whether there's yibum in this case or not. So hayta achad kshera v'achad psula. Im haya cholet lepsula. Im haya miyabem lekshera. We said that if there are two wives, one of them is kshera, one of them is pisula. One of them is good, one of them is no good. So if he's doing yibum, do yibum to the good one. If he's doing chalitza, do chalitza to the no good one. So my kshera, my psula. What's kasher and pasuli? Lema kshera la alma, psula la alma. If the good one and the bad one means one of them is muteret to a kohen, one of them was divorced in the past, she's asura to a kohen. So kevin delideh chazia, my nafka lemine mina. Well, if they're both like they're both good when it comes to him, they're both ksherim when it comes to him. So who cares which one he does yibum or chalitza to? Elalav kshera le psula le. Rather, when it says the kasher wife and the pasul wife, it means one wife is kasher to him, one wife is pasul to him. My new machzir grushato. This must be a case of machzir grushato, where two ladies are falling to yibum to him. One of them was a woman who his brother divorced and took back, so she's psula to him, and the other one is kshera to him. So we see that there is yibum, right? In such a case. So the Gemara says, lo, kshira la'alma. No, kasher means kasher to the, not to himself. We're not talking about a case of machzir grushato here. We're talking about a case of she's the divorced woman or something like that. That she's kasher to kohanim, and psula la'alma. Psula means she's pasul to kohanim. V'deka amrat kevan deledide chazia my nafka lemine. We said he could marry either one. So why do we care? If kshera means it's kasher to kohanim and psula means pasul to kohanim, so this guy is not a kohen. He's a yavam. His brother died. Two ladies fell to him. One of them is kasher to kohen. One of them is psula to a kohen. So who cares which one he does yibum to? Why are we saying, do yibum to the kasher, and if you're doing chalitza, do chalitza to the pasul? Who cares? So the Gemara said, no, mishum de Rav Yosef, dam Rav Yosef, kanshan, Rebbe, lo yishpoch adam meborova achrim tzrichim lahem. We learn from here, Rav Yosef says, Rebbe learns from here, a very special, very important halacha, that if a person shouldn't dump out the water that somebody else may need. Which means in this scenario, if the lady is going to be, she's anyways psula lekeuna, so don't do chalitza to the kasher one and now make her pasul. Do chalitza to the one that's already pasul. So you're not making another woman who could marry a kohen psula to keuna. So that's what it's teaching me. Okay, these are all same proofs that we asked yesterday and same dichuim that we made yesterday. Okay, Tashema. Hamachazir grushato misheniset, hi v'tzarata choletzet. So we had another braita. Again, what are we trying to prove? We're trying to find out what's the halacha with tzarat machzir grushato, with the co-wife of a woman who was divorced, got married to somebody else, that marriage was terminated, went back to her original husband, which she was not allowed to do. He remarried her, and then he died. So what's the deal in that case? So we want to find out, is there yibum, is there not? So it says, Tashma, machazir grushato misheniset. So somebody who took back his wife, who he divorced, after she married someone else in between, hi v'tzarata choletzet. Her and the tzara both do chalitza. So obviously, it cannot mean that her and the co-wife both do chalitza. Hi v'tzarata sal kadatach ele ema o hi o tzarata. It must mean either her or the tzara, because it can't be both of them, because you can't. There's no need ever in any case of yibum to do chalitza to two wives of one brother. So the Gemara says, "V'lav tirutzi kamatartzatla." You can't bring a proof from that braita. You just had to reword the braita. You had to answer up the braita because it made no sense. So taritzachi. So answered up like this: choletzet, he choletzet tzarata o choletzet o miyavemet. So you could say that she does chalitza, that tzara does or yibum or chalitza. You could choose to do yibum or chalitza to the tzara. So we have no clear answer whether a person is allowed to do yibum to the tzara of machzir grushato. So pause here for a moment. So just a little bit of recap. So far we had a couple of halachot and we didn't have any clear answer. We started off with Rav Tzarat Sota, a woman who is unfaithful to her husband and the husband keeps her, the co-wife of that woman. Rav said, if that guy dies, no yibum, no chalitza.
No.
Nothing. Yeah. And the Gemara tried to a little bit back and forth. We didn't come out with a clear answer. We're going to get to that maybe tomorrow. And then we spoke about Tzarad Machzir Grushato. Somebody divorced his wife. She married somebody else in the time being. He died. She came back to the original husband. And then that husband died. And this wife who he took back from divorce and the other wife, the co-wife, fell to yibum. What's the halacha in that case? Also, we're not coming out with a clear psak whether she is allowed to do yibum or not, the co-wife. Okay, now, next case. So, Amar Rav Lili Bar Mamal, Amar Mar Ukva, Amar Shmuel, Tzarat Mema'enet Asura. Okay, so this case is, we need a little bit of background. So, there is something called mi'un. What is mi'un? Mi'un is when a girl who, let's say she doesn't have her father, right? We'll just explain. So, the Torah says that a father has the right to accept kiddushin for his daughter. He could be mekadesh his daughter. Okay? It says, as long as she's under bat mitzvah. Et biti natati li'ish hazeh. Okay? So the father really only has the authority to do that once. If he does it once, and then she gets divorced, so he doesn't have the authority to accept kiddushin again, even though she's still under bat mitzvah. Okay? Also, if the father dies, so there is some like derabanan authority given to her mother that they can accept kiddushin for her. The mother, the brothers can accept kiddushin for her.
Does it have to be an older brother or could be a younger brother also?
I think it has to be over bar mitzvah. So if she's under bat mitzvah, it's by definition going to have to be an older brother. Yeah. So the so there's a so in those cases where she's under bat mitzvah and her father is not able to marry her off either because he's dead or because he already did it once, so she can still accept kiddushin, but she's only mikudeshet midirabanan. Generally, when the father is alive and it's his first time accepting kiddushin for her, so she's mikudeshet midoraita 100%, right? He goes to someone and he says, "Listen, my daughter will be mikudeshet to you for $5,000." The guy gives him $5,000. Hare, your daughter mikudeshet to me with this $5,000. She's mikudeshet 100% deoraita. Eshet ish midoraita 1,000%. She requires a get midoraita. Now, in a case where the father does not have that right, she's only mikudeshet midorabanan. In that case,
which one doesn't have right?
If the father is dead, or if the father already accepted kiddushin for her one time and then she got divorced, that's called a yitoma b'chaye aviha. So her father doesn't have any right on her kiddushin anymore. So she can still become mikudeshet, but midrabanan, and she's able to do something called miyun. Miyun means since this whole kiddushin is only derabanan, she can just walk out. If she feels before consummating the marriage at bat mitzvah, she got married at 6 years old. Yeah, 6 years old. She got married, but this kiddushin is only derabanan because her father didn't have the authority to accept kiddushin for her. Midirabanan, there's no nisuin under bat mitzvah. So So there's kiddush. I mean, whatever. There could be chuppah. They could have done bia, but she's not fully married. She's not fully married midoraita. So, but she's 6 years old. She's mikudeshet. 11 years old. A week before bat mitzvah, she says, "You know what? I want out." She just leaves. That's it. Yeah. Doesn't matter. The bia was bia znut. That doesn't. Okay, so that's called
We
miyun.
didn't read it on Kiddushin. I didn't remember.
It came up a little bit here and there, but we never really fully explained. Okay, so tzarat mima'enet. So Amar Rav Lili bar Mamal Amar Mar Ukva Amar Shemuel. Tzarat mima'enet asura. So the co-wife of a mima'enet is asura. Now, what exactly is this case? So the Gemara is going to explain through the steps. So lema. So this lady did miyun. Okay. So who is she asur to? So leman. If you're going to tell me she's asur to the other brothers, meaning she did yibum to, let's say she did miyun to one brother, so she's going to be asura to the other brothers. That doesn't make sense. Hashta hi gufa sharia. The lady who actually did miyun is muteret. So tzaratami baya, the co-wife, you're asking me whether for sure the co-wife should be muteret. So when we say the co-wife of a mima'enet is asura, it must not mean to the other brothers. Because the mima'enet herself is muteret to the other brothers. For sure the co-wife should be muteret to the other brothers. So ela ledide, rather it means that she's muteret to him himself, not to the other brothers. Meaning, she's asura to him himself. She's muteret to the other brothers. She's asura to the guy who she did miyun to. So the Gemara says, Umayshna mima'enet deshari la'achin, dula'avde bu'ma'aseh. The lady... Okay, so let's just play out the case. Imagine you have a guy with two wives, okay? One of them is a katana under bat mitzvah who could do miyun. And he has three brothers. So these two wives fall to yibum. This under bat mitzvah lady does miyun to brother number one.
Why just number one? That was number two or three.
Because she doesn't need to do more than one miyun. Once she's out, she's out. She was married. This guy died. She fell to yibum. She could still do miyun because she still never married midoraita. So she does miyun to brother number one. She uproots the entire marriage. She's out of the picture. So the Gemara says, okay, between brother number one and this katana, they're asurim to each other because it's similar to they got divorced. They're asurim to each other. So the other wives, we're saying, are going to be muteret to the other brothers. The Gemara is asking, but why should the other wife be muteret, be asura to this brother? She didn't do miyun to him. Meaning, just like this lady, the lady who did miyun is muteret to the other brothers because nothing happened between them. So the brother who the miyun happened to should be mutar to the co-wife because nothing happened between them either. The only isur should be between the guy who did miyun and the girl who did the miyun. Or the girl who did miyun and the guy who did she did miyun too. Not to any other variation of the brothers. So the Gemara says Umayshna mima'enet de sharia. How come the mima'enet herself is sharia lachin? She's muteret to the other brothers. Delo avda behu maaseh, because she didn't actually do miyun to any of the other brothers. So tzara nami lo avda be'maaseh. So the co-wife also, she didn't have anything. She didn't do any miyun. So she shouldn't be asura to the guy who got miyun either. Nothing happened between them. So the Gemara says, you know why tzarad mema'enet is asur? Gzera mishum tzarad bito mema'enet. It's all a gzera because of tzarad bito mema'enet. So the Gemara says it's all a gzera because there might be a case where this brother, we'll call him Reuven, is married to two women. One of them is under bat mitzvah, one of them is over bat mitzvah. One of them is a gedola, one of them is a katana. But the katana is also his brother's daughter. So he married his niece. And then Reuven dies. So these two women are falling to his brother Shimon. one of them is Shimon's daughter, and one of them is some other woman. So Shimon's daughter, if she does miyun, we're saying that the co-wife will be asura. So the Gemara is gonna question this. It's the obvious question. Right? Is that case really asur? The co-wife should be asur in that case. So let's just clarify. Everyone has the case clear. Let's just clarify. A case is Ruvain had two wives. One of them was his niece, okay, Shimon's daughter, who's under bat mitzvah. Ruvain dies, and then Shimon's daughter does miyun. So she retroactively, right, when she walks out, it's like nothing ever happened. The whole marriage, there was no marriage to begin with. So, really, in essence,
Can it be miyun to his father?
why not?
Someone miyun to his father, to her father.
Meaning, let's say she did miyun to one of the other brothers. Let's say she did miyun to the father. It doesn't matter. Meaning, she's uprooting the entire marriage that she had with the original, right? Because the zika of yibum is just a continuation of the original marriage. So when she does miyun at this point, she's just walking away from that original marriage. She's uprooting that original marriage. That's what she's doing. So if she does miyun, she's uprooting the whole marriage. So really, in essence, that means that the whole time Reuven was only married to one woman. So she should be able to do yibum. That woman was not a co-wife to anyone, because his niece that he was married to, that never happened, because she did miyun. She walked out, and that retroactively cuts off the entire marriage. That presses the delete button. It's like it never happened. So the Gemara's question is, we're saying, tsarat bito mema'enet, the co-wife of the daughter who did miyun, well, that should be allowed, because that whole marriage was off. So the Gemara questions this. The Gemara says, Zira mishum tsarat bito mema'enet. V'tsarat bito mema'enet mi asira, is that asur? We even learned in our Mishnah Vatnan, in our Mishnah, the first Mishnah of Masechet, V'chulani metu o mianu tsarotehen mutarot. We say that the co-wives are mutarot if they did miyun. So the Gemara says, 1 second. Who did she do miyun to? Demiyana beman. Lav beyavam. Isn't it that she did miyun to the yavam? So the Gemara says, lo. Leolam bebal. It's talking about that she did miyun to her original husband before he died. V'trei gavne gerushin. And I'm sorry, I skipped a little bit. Sorry. Vatnan kulani metu o mianu tsaratin mutarot. Demiyana beman. Ilem demiyana bebal. Hainu grusha. If, when we say she did miyun in the Mishnah, who did she do miyun to? If we're saying that she did miyun to the original husband, then that's the same thing as a grusha. That's the same thing as getting divorced from the original husband. Even though it's really not, but for these purposes it is. So elalav beyavam, rather it must mean that she did yibum to miyun to the yavam. So Gemara says, lo olam bebal v'trei gavne gerushin. Really, she did miyun to the original husband, and it's two different types of things under the letterhead of gerushin. Umayshna kimiyana bebal da'akrinu l'nisuin kimiyana beyavam nami nisuin kamai ka'akra. When she does miyun to the brother-in-law, she's also uprooting the entire marriage. So this is the question that we were asking. If she does miyun to the brother-in-law, to the yavam, she's uprooting the entire marriage, and therefore she was never involved in this marriage to begin with. So the brother could marry the co-wife, because she wasn't really a co-wife ever. She was the lone wife of the deceased brother. So says the Gemara, Mishum Detani Rami Bar Yecheskel. Detani Rami Bar Yecheskel. Mi'ana bebal muteret la'aviv, be'avam asura la'aviv. So Alma mishad nefila niret kekalato. Achanami mishad nefila niret ketzarat bito. So the Gemara brings Rami Bar Yecheskel. Let's say a woman, we're going to plug it back into our case, but let's just forget about our case for a moment. A woman, she, a young lady under bat mitzvah, she's married to somebody, midirabanan, and then she does miyun. So is she allowed to marry the father, yes or no? She did miyun. So that she was never married to the son. So is she allowed to marry the father? So says Rami Bar Yecheskel that miyana b'baal muteret la'aviv. If she did miyun, to her husband, she's allowed to marry the guy's father. But let's say she married somebody, midirabanan. She's 10 years old, married midirabanan to this guy, and then if she does miyun at that point, she can marry the father. But let's say he dies, and she does miyun to the yavam, to the brother-in-law. Now she can't marry the father. Why? What's the difference? She did miyun. The whole marriage was off to begin with. One second. She did miyun. The whole marriage was off to begin with. But we say once she falls to yibum, the miyun, it looks like she was married a little bit more. Because there was some type of falling to yibum and some interaction between her and the yavam. So since that happened, Rabbanan said it looks a little bit more like and smells a little bit more like a real consummated marriage, a real deoraita marriage, even though it's not. But it looks a little bit more like that, and therefore she's not allowed to marry the father anymore.
Father-in-law.
The father of the boy, father-in-law of her.
Yeah, father-in-law, not father.
Yeah.
That was confused.
Sorry, her father-in-law.
Father-in-law.
But it's not really her father-in-law because she did miyun. The whole marriage was off.
Yeah.
But if there's yibum, if there's a falling to a yavam first and then a miyun, so then she does not have to. Then she's not allowed to marry the father-in-law. So also here by tzarat bitom ema'enet. Yeah. So tzarat bitom ema'enet. The case is that this man he married his niece. That was one of the wives, was his niece. The other wife was a regular woman, right? So both of those are his wives. He does. Both of those wives, we'll end a little bit early. We're gonna stop here, but let's just explain this case. So both of those wives, one of them is his niece, who's a ketana, who's mikudeshetim only midirabanan, and one of them is an older woman who is mikudesh 100% deoraita. So he dies. These two women fall to yibum. So the daughter does miyun to her father. She falls to yibum to her father. She does miyun. So really, the father should be allowed to marry the co-wife because it's really as if there was only one wife that his brother had. But we say since she fell to yibum, it looks more like a real marriage. So midirabanan, she's not allowed to do yibum to the co-wife either. Okay, so this is the end of tzarat mema'enet. The next case is tzarat ailonit, and that takes us to the bottom of the amud. So Be'ezras Hashem we'll try to put that together with Yud Bet Amud Bet. Okay, again, these are not easy Gemaras. We have two more amudim of